Hey guys, quick video about my window cleaning cart that I've previously shown on my channel. I've made a couple changes to it. It's still not finalized, but just wanted to put this out there in case someone decides to build something similar. I wouldn't want anyone to waste their time making something that wasn't ideal. So anyhow, just like in the last video, I moved to 3/8 hose. This is reinforced because the line is pressurized. Currently, I just have this screwed in any which way so the pump doesn't leak. But typically, this is where your garden hose would screw in. You go through the pump, and then the pump goes into the pre-filter, first filter, and so on and so on. So, it actually took very little work to move the filters to the front of the cart. It turns out the idea of carrying water on the cart was just extremely impractical. It's way too heavy. So this is quite a bit better because the fittings are more protected and just looks a little bit nicer. It's a little more compact. It didn't even require me to cut new plastic pieces. I got fortunate and I just kind of roughly cut that piece that was already holding my pump, and it fit there. So that's good. To secure my battery, now I have 15-pound Velcro strips between my 3D printed bracket and the battery itself. So this is actually very sturdy. That's nice in case I got pulled out for something. This has to be replaced with a right angle 1/2" NPT 3/8 barb. Right now I only have a straight fitting, so that's why you see this goofy thing. For a brief minute, I was thinking of doing something different where the fitting coming out of here would be pull hose. And what that would do, if I understand correctly, is it would guarantee that you're getting the same amount of water coming out and the same amount of wastewater coming out. So your clean water and your wastewater would be identical, which would be good because that would give you 50-50 ratio, which is about as far as you can go on these filters without ruining them. But I decided against that just because I don't really want to get into like buying really special fittings, and this works fine. Just manually adjusting the valve for the waste. So yeah, again, I'm gonna have a right angle and the hose is gonna go down the back of the cart and be more discreet instead of like this antenna. But yeah, just adjusting this valve to make sure that I have at least a 50-50 mix or even greater, depending, as long as I have enough pressure on my pressure gauge here, then it's good to have more wastewater even. The more wastewater, the better, because the longer the filter will last. I also completely rotated the filter 180 degrees. So now my clean water is all coming in on the bottom. Well, no. So my water is coming in here, goes to the bottom, filters, also comes out the bottom to that second resin filter. And then the waste is up top here. And this could be replaced with just a plug. I do have a plug if I wanted to do that. The only reason you really would want this center thing here to be a valve is so that you could drain your big filter. But one thing that's nice about this is that because our waste is on top, the entire filter doesn't just immediately self-drain when you stop using the system. So now there's going to be a lot of water in here, which is, I think it's good to keep your filters kind of wet. And it also is going to make it quicker if you need to restart. Like say you do one job and then you got to move it. Or let's say you do one job and you got to go to another job. You don't really want to have to fill this entire thing up again if you don't have to. We can just keep the water in it. So that's the advantage I see of doing it this way. Currently, there's no way for me to measure the water before the second stage filter, which is a problem because if you're not careful and your waste to freshwater ratio is off, you could burn out your resin very, very quickly. One hacky way to do this would be to unscrew this and remove the resin, and then the water coming out of it will be only filtered by this, and you could get your TDS reading that way. Another way is we could put a Y, like a Y or a T here, or I think they even make Ys or Ts with an on-off valve. So that would be an option that wouldn't take up much room, that you could just, and then you could measure your stuff and then close it. So that's something to think about down the line. I got the Harbor Freight wheels on it. I don't know if I already mentioned that. They went on pretty easy. They're air. They're not just solid rubber, which is good when you go over bumps. And again, having this plate here is going to protect all those delicate fittings on the bottom of the filter. Still dripping out of here because I didn't really tighten it. But yeah, that's about it. I would say these are pretty good, pretty nice and tight from this orientation, the way I did it. You can see the bracket is sandwiched between the cart and the plastic. They can still swing out, but that's not too big of a deal. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. The next step in my project, I'm going to switch to all high flow hose, which is thicker than this 5/16 pole hose. And that's going to give me, I think, a pretty efficient and clean setup. I'm going to go, so I'm just only going to have one type of hose from the filter all the way to the pole. And then at the brush, it's going to be sized down to 5/16 for those nozzles. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for that, and I'll let you know when I get that done. Here's the Velcro strips, by the way. I plan to use these for lots of other things too. That's how I secured my battery. Again, I hope this was helpful, and have a good day.